Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jimmy Rex Show. Today on the podcast, we sit down with my good friend, Mr. Thomas Dockstader, and he is the author of Cheat Codes and also has his own company, the Cheat Codes, randomly. And one thing I love about this man, he's in my coaching program, We Are the They, and he's one of the leaders in this program. He's somebody that every time I talk to him, I'm just like, wow, I learn a lot. There's a lot of wisdom inside of him. And so it's no worry or no... It makes so much sense why he's been so popular with the things that he's done. He also has such an interesting upbringing. He was raised in a polygamous cult, and we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about how that affected him as a human being, what he's done about that, and where he's at today. So without further ado, let's get to the show with Thomas Dockstader. Today's podcast is brought to you by Bucked Up Protein. They have these new cans. I don't know if you guys have tried these out. You've heard me talking about these for a couple months now. It's 100 calories per can, 25 grams of protein. These are unbelievable. Try the strawberry banana one. I promise you, you're not going to regret this. There's also, it comes in 4 different flavors. Anywhere Bucked Up supplements are sold. I get mine at Harmon's, but go check these out. I'm having one at least once per day. My fridge is stocked with them. Every time I have friends over, they try them, they go home and buy them. So give them a look. Bucked Up supplements. Also, let's get to the show. What's up, dude? Me on. So good to have you here, man.
Yeah.
Ever since I met you, I've wanted to do this podcast. You have such an interesting story. I obviously know you through the program and through We Are the They. But I really want to have you tell your story. I don't do this a lot because when I go on podcasts, I hate when people are like, tell me all about you, because they don't know what they want to get out of the podcast. They don't have questions prepared or anything else. In your case, you just have such a fascinating story. And I've had 3 or 4 people on my podcast now that have come from polygamous communities. Mm-hmm. More, celebrity types, the dude that has like the Me and My 5 Wives guy or whatever. I can't remember his name. Yeah. Really cool guy. Actually, I really like him. Anyway, so I'm going to just start it there, man. Let's get into your story. Tell us a little bit about that, and I'll let you kind of take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I think the unique thing about my story is I was born into the FLDS. The Warren Jeffs is the famous leader of that church. Actually, still runs the church from prison.
Is he still running?
He's serving 2 life sentences, and people still follow him.
How strong is the church today with him?
Way less people than it used to be. A lot of people left. He excommunicated a ton, like so many people, tore people's families out of their hands and just wreaked havoc. But even still being in prison, he actually still has a following and people still follow him.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy. But what's interesting is, so that church, it was based out of Colorado City, which is southern Utah, Hilldale, Colorado City. But they had a smaller group of the church lived here in Salt Lake City. So I was born in 82, and the prophet at the time, which was Warren's father, Rulin, he started a school in his house. He had a huge 20,000 square foot house, started a school in his house that was up by Little Cottonwood Canyon. Mm-hmm. And Warren was the principal. And it was a 1st through 12th grade, but there was only about 300 students in the whole school, pretty small. I attended that school.
Oh, so I read about that school. Yeah. There was a lot of abuse and things like that. Dude,
it's crazy.
I'm sorry, keep going.
I went to that school. And so from 1st grade on, I saw Warren every day. So what was different about that school is, we had math and English and stuff like that, but we had 3 hours of seminary. Well, you guys call it, LDS calls it seminary. We called it morning class, priesthood history, chorus. So it was 3 hours a day of church. And then mixed in, they had, your regular math classes, stuff like that. So I knew Warren intimately. I saw him all the time. He knew me very well. Right. And so I had a really close relationship with him.
And I don't want to cut you off as you tell this story, but it's so intriguing. And so I do want to kind of just chime in questions every now and then. What was it? I mean, what was he like when you were a kid? What did you think of him? What was he like?
So that guy always made me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And he was the type you could feel his presence. If he was behind you, you could feel his energy. It was not a good energy, I would say. It was an uncomfortable energy. But because the church was telling you that he was this good man, you were kind of in conflict. My mom, dude, she's never be in a room alone with him.
She knew.
She knew.
Did everybody know?
No, like other people would argue and be like, he's the greatest man. And the way he talked, his voice, I'm sure if you've heard it,
really low or soft.
It's super creepy, dude.
Yeah.
It's the most creepy voice. So we would listen to him, just indoctrination, dude. And I'm telling you, like, if you go listen to some of the tapes, it was just, you could see actually he had everything planned out from a very early on time of how he was slowly manipulating people into belief. Like, cause he would say, follow the prophet, stay close to your parents, this and that. But he's like, no matter what, always follow the priesthood. The priesthood comes first, this and that. And so what I noticed over time is like, he would like slowly like move the goalpost. And this was decades of time that he was doing this to eventually where he usurped his father, and his father had a stroke and wasn't really like, and he kind of like snuck his way in there and took over. He was the
one that kind of did away with, like, made you wear weird outfits and changed a lot of those kinds of things, right?
Dude, I remember like growing up in school, no red.
Made you sell all your like toys and things like that.
And as things progressed, he told people to get rid of no toys, no sports, no bikes, and then he got into like your diet, and it was like, no flour and just just wild stuff, dude. Wow. Just who knows where he's
just
pulling this stuff out of thin air. But I think he believed he was inspired, right? Like, I think he had so much validation by the group that I think he thought that he was this man of God. I really do.
Wow. Okay.
But grew up in that. And the awkward thing though was I also lived in West Jordan. So like, and for those of you listening, West Jordan is just a small suburb town here in Salt Lake City.
It's like living in the middle of Salt Lake.
Yeah. And so I lived in your standard neighborhood, but I had to wear the pilgrim clothes and like all that.
You wore that stuff?
My sisters did. And
I got to ask, did you just have one mom at your house, or was you have multiple?
I had two. Yeah.
So that's still pretty tight knit compared to some of the families.
Yeah. But, and this is actually something that I talk about a lot in my book. See, I talk about trauma, right? And like how things happen in your childhood that you kind of like, you just tuck them away and you don't really address them. But then what you find out later in life is they're actually affecting you quite heavily.
Yeah.
So one of mine was this. My mom told me when I was like 5 or 6, she's like, don't tell the neighbors that Donna, our other mother, is your mother. Tell them it's your aunt. And don't tell them what kind of church you're in. And I'm like 5 and I'm like, what? I don't even know what church we're in. What are you talking about? Well, fast forward to when I'm an adult in my either 20s and 30s, girls that I would date, they'd bring me to meet their family and stuff. And I would stand in the corner with my arms folded and I would be very uncomfortable. And they would say, what's wrong with you? What's like, why won't you be, social? And I was like, I don't know. I really don't know. And when I started to dissect it, I realized, and this is in this work that I did, and I document in my book what I did, but I started to document like, okay, well, how do I connect the dots and what's causing this, right? So what I realized was if you go up to someone, and I don't know if this is just in Utah or if it's everywhere, but you go up to someone and you shake their hand, they're like, hey, what school did you go to? Immediately I'm faced with this like thing of like, okay, do I tell them I went to this Alta Academy or do I lie?
Well, the only thing I have to compare is when I was going to Arizona State and people would say, where are you from? And I didn't want to say Utah because I didn't want to have that conversation. I didn't want to talk about BYU or Utah sports, like, or I didn't want to talk about the Mormons. I didn't want to talk about the sexuality or the politics. It's like they say the 3 things to never bring up on a first date is sex, politics, or religion. If you say you're from Utah, you just brought up all 3, know? And so I would just make it up and say I'm from Vegas.
Yes, but that's actually a great point.
Yeah.
Because to your point, if I tell them the truth,
right?
Your dad had 2 wives, blah, blah, blah. Dude, I'm in trauma with someone I just barely met. So what I realized is I realized I was actually quite ashamed of where I came from and what I grew up in, but I didn't understand that. Does that make sense? Like I was ashamed of who I was. And even tracing it back to the point of like, my mom didn't do this on purpose. She was just trying to help me. But like, she also made me feel ashamed of who I was because I had to hide it. So that's a big thing that I talk about and teach with people is like, that in and of itself is not like this dangerously traumatic event, right? But in reality, it actually is something that affected me really quite a lot, where my mother, my protector, was telling me that what I was not good. Okay. So if we trace that up, that's kind of what leads to later in life, I became a massive alcoholic and went down a lot of horrible roads, suicide attempts and just crazy stuff like that. Because we experience these things in childhood, in our younger years, and we kind of just brush them aside. And we don't really understand that they are actually like a cavity or like a weed that's growing within us that, unfortunately, time does not heal all wounds, right? It actually gets worse and worse and worse. And the thing is, it comes out in ways that, they're not directly connected to the trauma itself. So like for me, it was alcoholism. I was drinking, gallons of vodka per week on a regular basis for years. And to me, I thought that was just like, I didn't even think it was bad. Does that make sense? Like, I just thought, oh, this is how you like get through life.
Did you know why you were drinking so much?
No, not until I got to the point where it was like tipping point, which is in my early 30s, where it was like,
what age were you when you left the church? I think we skipped some steps there.
We absolutely did skip some steps, but, so I basically stayed with the church. I was super valiant. I was like, follow the rules. In fact, I was even like getting after my dad for not following certain rules.
You were like judging the shit.
I really was. I was like, nope, we got to do it this way.
What kind of rules was he not doing?
Well, like we're not supposed to have TV. And so he had a TV. And I'm like, Dad, we're not supposed to have TV. So why do we have this TV? Like I was calling my dad out. I'm like 14. But the crazy thing is, dude, the church school closed after I finished 9th grade. They closed it. And so I had a choice. I could do homeschooling or I could go work in construction. And I was like, there's no way I'm sitting at home at 14 years old, like, because we couldn't do anything. Does that make sense? Like we couldn't be, you're not like a normal kid.
You couldn't go to normal school?
No, absolutely not.
That was like against the religion.
Totally against.
Got it. That's why you couldn't. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll go work. So I was like,
does the government ever do they have problems with people just like, can a 14-year-old just not go to school?
No.
But they just don't do it. They don't have the resources to do something.
Let's put it this way. My mom didn't get my social security card number until I was like 10. So I was born by a midwife, right?
Oh, so there was no record of you being born until you were 10?
I think my birth certificate wasn't like granted until like I was like 10 years old. Okay. So anyway, needless to say, they don't exactly follow all the rules when it comes to like communicating, right? So, and I was never registered in any school, so they wouldn't know, right? Whatever. Anyway, so I chose to go work. I worked construction. I was doing 10, 12-hour days when I was 14 years old, making $25 a day, which is basically enough to cover your food because they didn't feed you. Like you had to pay for your own food.
We were $25 a day and you had to buy your own food.
Yeah, we were in Vegas, we were in Phoenix,
eating at gas stations and stuff.
Just eating at Wendy's and just like stuff like that. You know, and at least back then it was $5, right, to eat a meal. But, dude, I loved it. I loved it as a child. I thought it was the coolest thing because I was with a bunch of other kids my age, and we were just traveling around. But we slept in like. They'd get us like a 2-bedroom apartment. There'd be like 25 kids of us in there. Oh,
come on. That would be fun kind of though.
We thought it was fun.
It's like staying in a hostel.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. But in reality, when you look back, like if someone was doing that to my kid, I'd be like, you freaking pieces of crap.
By the way, you guys build amazing houses.
Yeah. The best labor, dude. Because we would really like, it wasn't about like being lazy. It was about who could work the hardest, who did the best work. Like it was a huge competition that way. So anyway, so I spent, from 14 to 18 doing that, just working a ton. I got a hernia when I was 16 from lifting walls, like, and the owner of the company is like, well, he's like, a lot of times you get those when you're a kid, when you're younger. Like he was basically trying to like not take any accountability, which they didn't. And my dad just paid for it. And nobody said anything and move on with your day.
Did you end up, okay, sorry, keep going.
So this is the wild thing. In my family, I was like the valiant one. And I don't know what it was, but I turned 18 in December. And then like June of that next year, I just woke up one day and I'm like, I'm leaving.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I just decided, I was like, I'm leaving.
Leaving the construction crew
church,
or what?
Leaving the church.
What?
I'm leaving. I don't want to do this.
Nothing happened?
No. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out of here.
Where'd you go?
I got one of my buddies, and two of my buddies had left like a year earlier.
Oh, so you've seen some buddies leave. So that's kind of like sparks the curiosity a little bit.
They had left, but I thought they were evil. And then I just one day, just in my mind. And what's crazy, dude, is I went and sat down with my mom and I told her, and she's like, good.
Really?
Yeah. She was like, good, go, get out of here.
So what does that look like when you leave?
Well, for a boy, they don't really care.
Oh, they don't?
No.
That's what they call them, like the Lost Boys. There's a lot of like...
This was, so when I left was right before this whole pandemic of the Lost Boys happened.
Okay.
So I like maybe a year after I left, it was like, then it was just a flood.
Because they started like kicking a lot of the boys out, right?
Yeah. So right at the time I left, right after I left.
I mean, it makes sense. They don't care if the boys leave because they're marrying all the girls up.
Yeah, dude. And by the way,
you don't have enough.
Warren was taking all the hot ones. I was really worried.
I've always thought about this. Like, would they really take, like, he would just snatch up all the best looking girls?
Yeah.
Dude, you know how mad I would be at a leader or quote unquote prophet or this person that's supposed to be your spiritual leader? This would really mess you up. And you like have a crush on a girl. You're 15 years old and he snatches her up as his new wife.
Yeah, dude.
Bro. There's no, think about that and it just boils my blood to think about how mad that would make me.
Well, I always used to be worried. I'm like, I'm going to get stuck with some like homely looking woman.
I guess that's another side of it because all the cute ones are getting.
Well, yeah, dude, because think about it. If you're a boy, you're just going to get married. You're going to get married to a woman who's never been married. Right. And it's going to be you and her, but you don't get to choose. They do it for you. They tell you who to marry.
What age do they do that?
It can be as early as 18, as long, So
for the boys, as early as 18.
It could be, for boys, it could be as early as 18 up to, some of them didn't get married till they're 25, 26.
They hold it over you sometimes too, right?
Oh, big time. Dude, it's 100%. It is if you get married, it's a measure of your worthiness. And that goes the same for getting extra wives. Like if you get 2 wives, 3 wives, that's like, you're rising in the ranks.
Does it always come from above? Always. Like from the prophet or whoever?
Always. Okay. Yeah. So when I turned 18, I was like, I'm out. Well, that happened to be 2001. So I left in June of 2001. In September 11th happened. Like and
3
I was
months
like,
later.
Shit.
You thought it was your fault?
I thought it was the end of the world.
Because you'd never really watch TV or anything.
No, dude. Well, no, because here's the thing. They had been telling us that the apocalypse, the destructions, the end of the world was coming around the year 2000.
Oh, for real?
For my whole life.
So you thought
since I was a little kid. So when I left...
Dude, that's actually freaky. Like, well, I had a buddy, sadly, he went crazy during COVID. He did way too much psychedelics and fried his brain. And he was going on Instagram Live every day or Instagram stories and just saying the most preposterous things. And he was predicting the future. He said he was talking to Joseph Smith. I mean, really lost it. He got a tattoo that said Elohim on his neck, to give you an idea. Like, dude was sending it. Yeah, he was just like, and he predicted an earthquake, and like 2 days later, that damn earthquake in Salt Lake hit.
Oh no.
But he was predicting a massive destructive earthquake, but he says it on his Instagram. 2 days later, there's this earthquake. So it validated all of his bullshit to himself, right? And he ended up killing himself a couple months later. And it's just the saddest thing, but it was, I don't know. I look back on that a lot, but it was just the coincidence of that earthquake. I'm just like, geez, that was like the one thing that we didn't need was for him to be validated. You know what I mean by that? So.
Yeah, dude, that's so wild. So yeah, but here's the thing. Imagine this. Imagine you're in a religion where it's super restrictive. Like literally they're telling you no music, no TV, no movies, no women. And then you're 18 and then you leave. So
kind of opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, but just like the LDS church, it's like if you leave, you're a son of perdition. You're going to go to the darkest, deepest portion of hell.
I don't feel like the LDS church necessarily stresses that quite so much. I mean, it's if you just leave, you're just go to the middle kingdom or whatever.
So, and see, that's, I mean.
Outer darkness is saved for the FLDS.
Okay, so the outer darkness is where they told us we would go.
Yeah, no, it was a lot more, I mean, the penalty for leaving your church, I'm just trying to emphasize, is a lot bigger than for us. For us, it's like you can still go to the Telestial Kingdom or it's like, oh, all right, well, whatever. It'll still be a moon,
Consolidation. Yeah, so, and then this is something I talk about a lot is because I started so young in the church, going to that school specifically, right? And just getting I'm getting hours of church per week, just so many. So whether I consciously wanted to believe that or not, subconsciously it's there. And so I went it was like a pendulum that swung. It was like drugs, alcohol, women, just like
all at once.
Yeah, just straight into it. And that's what we see with that church a lot, is a lot of those guys just like, they go hard.
Well, if you already think you're probably a son of perdition, it's like, what's the point of that?
Yeah,
You know,
might as well, right?
Yeah.
Like, might as well have fun. So for me though, I was so green, dude. I was just like, I didn't know anything about anything. Like I was doing construction. I was like, I don't want to do construction anymore. So I was buying a car one day and I asked the guy, I was like, hey, what kind of degree do you have to work here? And he's like, do you want to work here? And I was like, yeah. So they hired me at Carmel and Toyota, dude, when I was 18 years old. So I'm out there selling cars, but that was my entry into sales. But, it was just such a like a wake up call to reality of like, I was so unaware of like what the world had to offer and like my innocence, I guess you could call it. I married like literally one of the first girls that I met. I married her when I was 20 years old.
Wow.
Because I was like, oh, we've had sex. So I think we have to get married. Like that was how my brain worked.
So when you left, I just want to kind of it's just very fascinating to me, but like, where did you stay? Where'd you go? Did you have money? Did you have?
So I worked construction. So I was able to get I was heavy
pretty
equipment
quickly.
operator.
You probably got a raise immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I was making $18 an hour, and I thought it was the freaking. I was like, holy cow! But I was a heavy equipment operator, so I just immediately went into an excavating company and got a job. It wasn't hard at all. Okay. So I rented a room from a friend who was renting a house, and it was $300 a month, and I had a little white Saturn for a car. And that was it, dude. I mean, I was off on my own. Never moved back home from that day.
Wow. What was your relationship after that with your father and with the church, like all that stuff?
Yeah. So with the church, there was no relationship at all.
Like they don't reach out. There's no connection.
No. And that goes the same for like all the guys that I was friends with, all the people I grew up with, my best friends, just complete cut off. No communication.
You're now a son of perdition. You can't communicate with you.
You're out of here.
Is that to this day?
I've reconnected with a lot of those guys that are not in it anymore. But I mean, it's not this,
of course,
20 years later, but
you've had some,
I've had reconnections with some of those guys. In fact, I had one of the guys on my show, on my podcast. Great story, but, he's good. He's a cool guy, but, but at that time, like you basically are severing everything, your friends, your community, like your family, you're just chop it all off. You're completely new and green out in the world. You have nothing. You don't know anyone. I had communication with my family, but it was pretty slim. They had moved down to Colorado City. And so I was living in Salt Lake. And so, just kind of on your own. I mean, trying to make it in the world. So I immediately got married to some girl.
How'd you guys come to, was she comfortable with your background and your story? And
everybody was so fascinated with it.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah. So that's another thing too, is like, I talked about it a lot, but everybody was really fascinated with it. And so, but I think maybe your interactions, I think people saw like, he's a pretty solid kid. Like he's a hard worker, he has manners, he treats women well, right? Like, cause that's kind of how you're raised, right? Mm-hmm. So you have morals, you're raised on hyper morals. So, I think everybody, even, that family, I mean, they're awesome people, and, I don't really have contact with her anymore, but anyway, we were married for about 2 years, and it was just a huge mistake, like in every aspect. Right. I didn't know who the heck I was. Anyway, my dad ends up dying from cancer at 53 years old. And that like rocked. My mom left the church with all her kids, and my dad died, and it just like destroyed our family, dude. Like destroyed our family. My eldest brother spent 20 years in prison. My second oldest brother was homeless. All my brothers are addicts or have been at some point. Some are recovering, like myself. Everybody just struggled so bad. Like it rocked our whole world. Just like losing our dad at even though my dad wasn't really like the kind of like, rule with an iron fist, like some of those people out there were. He still loved his kids, and he still was like, we still, whatever. So when he died, that was really tough. So that, I got divorced. My sister got divorced. Like it was just mayhem. My youngest brother, my mom pulls all of her kids out of Colorado City and puts them in school in St. George. Keep in mind, they've never been to public school. Well, what happens to my youngest brother? Someone tells him, hey, if you sniff this white powder, it makes you feel really good. He's like 13 years old, does heroin for the first time. Today, right now, he lives on the streets downtown, addicted to heroin.
Wow.
Like he has never been able to shake it from that point.
Have you ever tried to get him to go do Ibogaine?
Dude, so I just heard that Ibogaine is being legalized in Texas.
Yeah, Scott, former governor, or not Scott, Rick Scott? Is it? No, Rick, what the hell was his last name?
I don't know.
Anyways, the dude that ran against Romney, but former governor, Rick something or another, he's trying to get it legalized in Texas, but you can just get him to Cancun. It's got 80%.
Can they go to Cancun if they have felonies?
You sneak them across the border. Being dead serious. Well, you don't even have to sneak them. I think you just go across the border.
I hear what you're saying.
You can't fly. You can drive his ass.
So he was on he was just in a halfway house when my mother died, but he went back. So it's...
Dude, 80% success rate getting people off heroin.
I will 100%.
But you literally just have to drive him across the border. It's in like Ensenada.
Well, how does he get back?
What are you talking about? I don't know, swim across I'm dead serious. Like, what are we talking about? Like, how does he get back?
How do you get
He's
back?
an American. You just start going, what are you doing? I'm an American. I lost my wallet. Like, I need to get back. They'll let you back in.
If that works.
Does he look like an American?
He looks like an American.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, like, if it was...
I want him to do Ibogaine.
Is he open to anything like that?
I mean, if we could get him to just...
Sorry, I keep getting you sidetracked.
Chill. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I just I really feel out of it. I had a podcast I did about a year ago. In fact, a year ago today, I did a podcast with Rob O'Neill. It's a big thing he's doing because it's like, dude, it has like an 80-something% success rate of getting people off heroin.
Well, yeah. And so to my point, like if they can make it legalized in the US to make it more accessible for people versus having to swim back.
I mean, that was just the first thing that came to my mind.
Anyway, so look, things got bad. When my dad died, I got divorced and I went down a deep hole of alcohol and drugs. And like, it was like 2 years of just really bad behavior in general. And then I got this bright idea. I was like, man, I need to like clean my act up. So I stopped drinking and I was like, I need to meet like a really, really good woman. And I was working at Best Buy and I met this girl. She's super LDS. Her family was super LDS. So I get this bright idea. I'm like, oh, maybe I should join the church. And that is the true church. Because I had all this trouble for the last couple of years, right? So I meet her, join the church. We get engaged. I get my... and by the way, I had to go to one of the 12 apostles to get into the church.
Wow, just because of your background?
Because of the FLDS. Mm-hmm. So I met Elder Worthland and got approved to get baptized and get into the church. So I get in the church. I meet this girl. She's really great. And we go through the whole process and I go in to do my endowments. And I'm not shitting you, dude. When I walked out, I was like, fuck, I joined another cult.
Wow.
That's really how I felt. I was so defeated because I thought I was wanting like
just
this.
The whole, the ceremony being.
I was just wanting like a really spiritual experience and it wasn't. It was the opposite for me. And I was really, really, really sad about it. But I was like, okay, well, I'll make this work, whatever. Marry this girl. 6 months into being married, this is when I'm 24. I was like, let's not go to church. Let's just go eat at Chili's or something. She's like, okay. She's 20. I'm 24. She doesn't care. We go and do that. And then we go to her parents for dinner that night. And her mom's like, how was Relief Society? And she's like, we didn't go. We went to Chili's. She's like crying. So then she goes and talks with her mom in her room. And then her mom comes out. And she's like, she's going to stay with us tonight. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So I go, she won't come home. And her parents are like, get rid of him.
I don't know why I'm laughing.
He's leading you down a path of destruction.
It's just so crazy, but
dude, so stupid. Like they didn't ever like me.
I mean, you know what you signed up for.
100%.
Yeah. I always say like, there's a lot of empathy to be had if you're, because I remember when I was all in the church, dude, it's like, if you meet somebody and you get married under those premises, I think it's okay to feel that way if the premises change because the church means so much to them, right? Sure. And so if you change the rules a little bit of the game, it's very rattling of the cage, you could say. It's pretty hard for them. Yeah. And so I have empathy there. You know, it's still, I would think I'm laughing because It's like you didn't cheat on her. You went to Chili's
We
on
went
a
to
Sunday,
Chili's,
you know?
Like, and it was a big deal, right? For no reason. Anyway, so we ended up getting divorced.
So you're 24, twice divorced.
Twice divorced at 24. No kids. Well, then I really went down the deep end. Raves, ecstasy, freaking you name it, just cocaine, blah, 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 all of it. But all the while, by the way, I was high functioning and slowly building up in my sales career, I was working for Hewlett Packard and like kind of going along that way. But on my personal life, dude, it was just like a slow progression of like just getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where it was like party on the weekends to like, okay, I'm drinking every night. And then I met a girl at work and we started dating, and okay, this is crazy. So I was living downtown, and the reason I decided to move downtown is because I'm like, I want to walk to the bars. I don't want to drive drunk. So I'm living down there, and me and my brother decide to go to Gracie's one night. We go to Gracie's. We get so freaking drunk. These two guys are like talking trash to us in the bar, and my brother likes to run his mouth, and this dude headbutts me.
That's a bold move.
Yeah. We were just kind of like, and he just bam, hits me in the head, right in the nose with his head. So then the bouncers rush over and pull them out. And then they pull us out like 20 minutes, like not 20 minutes, like literally like 3 minutes later. So they put us both out there. So we're walking home and we come around the corner and we see him down in the parking lot. And I'm like, let's go, come on. And he's like, all right. So we go down there, and dude, I just remember walking up to this guy. He was with two other guys, and he said, I'm going to beat your fucking ass. And then I woke up 30 days later in the hospital.
Wow.
I literally never even got a swing off. I didn't get a dodge off. He knocked me out and then stomped on my head. Damn. Like I had bruises all across my forehead, and there was a whole thing. He got arrested. He got aggravated assault. I didn't press any charge or anything. They just like people witnessed it, and everybody was seeing it. It was like right by Gracie's. Did he do time for it? He's dead now. I don't know what happened. He was into drugs and all that stuff, but he got a plea deal. He plead out, but I had to go to the court cases and like all that stuff. But dude, coming out of that coma, like my mom was freaking out because she's like, they told me in the beginning that you were going to have to learn to talk and walk again and like all this stuff. You had a major bleeding brain injury, traumatic brain injury. I came out of it with really unscathed, but just with loss of sense of smell. So I haven't been able to smell since that happened.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wait, so I'm kind of fascinated with this. So you come out of a coma. What's the experience of waking up from a coma?
I thought I was at the dentist. I'm not kidding you, dude. I'm not kidding you. I thought I was at the dentist.
So it's not like you have no pain. Like you didn't.
I was so confused, dude. I was just like,
was anyone there?
When I woke up,
did you fully wake up and you're just like, what is going on?
I woke up and I was just like, what's going on? The nurse came in, and then once I woke up, I was kind of
Were you supposed to wake up? Like, were they expecting this?
They induced the coma, and then they let me out of it. And when I was like coming in and out of it, and then it's kind of like real groggy, and you're just like, what is
like when you wake up from anesthetic?
Yeah, exactly. So I finally come out of it, and then they tell me what happened, and I'm just like, what the freak? And the cops had come and taken pictures of my hands because they wanted to because the guy said that I hit him and I never did. And so he got arrested. And anyway.
What happened to your brother? Where was he?
He freaking scraped his hand.
Did he break up the fight?
Well, some other guy came after him and he ended up falling down, but he got back up. And then once I was like unconscious, everybody was like, whoa, like,
got it.
Dude,
this thing
chill.
Needs to end. Yeah.
You might have killed this guy. Yeah. So coming out of that experience though, dude, I was in like a fog for like a year. I'm not kidding you. It was so bad. I would smell like these weird smells. I couldn't lay back the little, there's like little rocks in your ear.
Okay.
And they like roll on this membrane that tells your brain what your position is.
Oh yeah.
And when they get knocked out of place, you'll just get dizzy spells like at any moment.
Yeah, they say that's like the worst thing when you lose that equilibrium. My brother had some water stuck in his ear from like a cruise or something, and he told me it was like 3 months. He goes, dude, if it went for a few more months, I was gonna have to kill myself.
Yeah,
he's like, it was that bad.
It was a solid year for me, dude. And I finally went to this clinic that was able to like fix it. They blow like hot air in your ear and like tilt you back this way. It was really, because I would like get nauseous when I would lay down. because it would just like spin.
Oh man, one time I took a gummy on before I got on a plane one time, and I don't like marijuana. The last time I ever did it, this was 4 or 5 years ago. I hate marijuana, actually. I hate gummies. I hate all of it now. But I got on a plane, and I remember I was trying to watch the U.S. Open. And it was a 9-hour flight. That's why I was on my way to the airport, and I ran into a buddy, and he's like, dude, here, take this for your flight. It'll help you. I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay. And oh man, when I would close my eyes, it felt like I was doing backflips in my chair. So it just was like I was on a roller coaster, and I was meeting somebody where I was going. So I was by myself. It was like just the 2 seats on the side. I told the dude next to me, I'm like, hey man, I'm not feeling so hot. So if I start throwing up, I'm so sorry. I just had the barf bag and I started throwing up. Dude, we hadn't even taken off yet.
Oh my gosh.
And I was doing backflips in my chair for it was the worst feeling ever. So I kind of on a small scale couldn't know what you mean, but
it was terrible. But anyhow, in that process, I also met a girl at work, and we were dating and whatever. Well, she gets pregnant.
Okay.
And once again, good old polygamous Tom is like, we should get married.
So this is your third marriage?
This is my third
marriage. So you still had the polygamist in you. You just kept divorcing them.
Yeah. But not always my fault. Let's just say,
I'm just kidding.
But anyway, so we get married, and she has the baby, and about when he was 6 months old, I'm not going to go into details on that because we have 50-50 custody and all that stuff. But when he was 6 months old, we separated and we got divorced. So I was then, and I fought for 50% custody. So I had 50% custody of my son when he was 6 months old. From that time on to today, he's 13 now, I've had 50-50 custody of him. And dude, when I went through that divorce with her, with my son, it was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through in my entire life, because I loved my son so much. And the thought of like not being with him, it was like gut wrenching, and it like accelerated my drinking to a place where I would literally carry around a bottle with vodka in it at all times. Anywhere I went, wow. I would have a Dasani bottle and it would have vodka in it at all times. I was drinking all the time. I would wake up, take 6 shots. And in the meantime, I'm winning President's Club at work. You're my first
Hewlett Packard still?
I moved to a software company, and I made my first 100,000, and then I made 200,000, and then I was winning President's Club. But all the while, dude, I'm just drinking myself to death. Literally. Like my stomach felt, I was drinking so much vodka, dude. It was just like, it was disgusting. And it got to the point where I wasn't getting drunk and having fun. I was sitting in my house alone, drinking and going through gallons of vodka, to the point where I made this money. I bought a Porsche, and I was like, it was like one of the worst days of my life, because I was like, I was in a brand new house, brand new Porsche, had money in the bank. And I was like, I'm supposed to be happy, and I'm miserable. So I was like, I need to buy a gun. I never owned a gun. We didn't have them in the church. Never owned one. I was like, I need to buy a gun. I just had this thought in my mind. So dude, I literally like thought about it for like weeks. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go buy a gun. So I go to Shields. I buy a gun. I buy a 45, a 1911 handgun, $1,300, like mega gun. And then I bought a safe, a big one. And I hauled it in my house and all this stuff. And I had the gun in the safe in my house. So I was like, okay, my son can't get it, and I have it. A couple of weeks go by, and I'm just drinking. I can't believe I didn't lose my job. I can't believe like anything. I'm just like,
did you have anyone around you to like reel you in or talk to you or sit you down?
No.
No close friends?
I got arguments with my family.
Did you have close friends or anybody like that?
No, not really. I would push people away. Like, sure. I never would allow anyone.
Hard to be friends with somebody when they're in that space.
Yeah. And I had, family, but I would see some of my other family going through it. So I was just like, there's no one that can help me. And I really
Did you want to get out of that space?
Well, here's the thing, Jimmy, for a long time, see, this is what I tell people about alcoholism. You don't start drinking thinking you're going to become an alcoholic.
Right.
In fact, everyone thinks they're not.
Right.
And when you are, you still think you're not. And it for me, it was just before the incident with the gun that I was like, I have a problem. I literally said to myself, I'm like, this is not like normal. Like I'm like drinking all the time and I can't stop. And dude, I was so bad. I lived alone. I was hiding alcohol bottles in my own house because I didn't want people to see that I had alcohol, because I didn't want them to think that I had a problem. That's how bad the problem was. So you just wake up one day and you're an alcoholic. It's not like, and you only are an alcoholic when you realize that you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, one of the things I've done is every year I'll take at least once, I'll do 75 hard and take that 2.5 months off just to make sure, okay, can I not drink if I don't want to?
You'll start to feel it in a couple of days if it's a problem. Right?
Yeah, that's my point. It's like, because I've even had stretches for like a week or two, like, dude, did I just drink every night? Like, or every day? Like, did I just have a drink like 8 days in a row? Well, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, time to dial it in,
Yeah.
and sometimes it takes a few days before you actually decide you
well,
want to dial it in.
You get used to it. You get used to that like numbing. I mean, it does. It just kind of numbs you, kind of calms you down. But for me, it was getting so much that it wasn't even calming me down, right? It was actually accelerating. And it got to the point where I actually couldn't stop. Like I tried.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm shaking
You can
violently.
die if you're that bad and you just stop cold turkey.
I was shaking violently, but also my ego was like, I don't want to rehab, or I can't show people that. Like that's how bad it was. So I'm like, I'm just going to kill myself. So one night it was about 3 a.m. and I was like, okay, it's time. I walked up the stairs, grabbed the gun. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm not going to do it in the house because I live alone. People might not find me for weeks. And then my family will find me for sure. It will be my family that finds me. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have the greatest idea. I'll do it on my front lawn. Because then some random people will see me and then they'll call and then they'll take care of it. There will be no mess in the house that my family has to clean up. This is how much I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I see the logic, but
You're like, not a bad idea.
No, I'm just saying, like, I can see how your mind went there, but okay.
So
were you drunk at this time?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. I was drunk for years, dude.
Got it.
I was never not drunk.
Wow.
But
That's crazy, by the way.
yeah, it was years of not being not drunk. It was just all the time. You'd go to sleep, you'd wake up, you'd drink. Anyway, so I get out on the front lawn and then I was like, oh man, I haven't even shot this thing. I don't even know if it works. What if I pull the trigger and it doesn't work? That would be worse.
That would be worse.
Dude, I'm in the middle of Draper, pointed up in the air, bam, bam, 2 shots of a 45 in the middle of Draper.
Can't get away with that these days.
No,
it
wasn't that long ago.
My brother shot a 22 in our backyard in Taylorsville one time, and we laugh about it all the time. It's like just in the middle of the neighborhood.
Dude, this was 9 years ago. This was not that long ago.
Okay, so then what happens?
So then I put it up to my head, and dude, I'm telling you, it was so close. I felt myself pulling the trigger, and I felt the resistance on the trigger.
Wow.
You know that.
I know.
Right before it clicks. Mm-hmm. And then I just had this thought in my head. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, I have money and all this, and no one knows anything about my life. And I do have a son. I was like, the very least I can do is just like leave some information, because it's going to be a real pain in the butt for everyone to track all this stuff down and figure it all out.
I like how reasonable you were.
I know. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. So then I go in the house, I fall asleep. I wake up in my living room. The gun is sitting there on the coffee table. My mom, sister, and brother are sitting in my house. I had texted my mom goodbye.
Oh.
And so they're sitting there like, what are you doing? And so then we got in this huge argument. They took the gun, and then I went and drank just right after.
Were you still wanting to kill yourself? Were you still thinking like, I'm still going to do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then what I realized is I was like, okay, I'm either going to drink myself to death or I'm going to kill myself. It's one of the two. One of the two is going to happen, because I'm drinking so much. It's not out of the question that I'll die from that. So I was like, all right, well, I have to stop. So I quit drinking cold turkey, and I went 3 months, and I felt really good. But then for whatever reason, just out of the blue, I just fell off the wagon. Just this, I just fantasized about getting some tequila. And then before I knew it, I was blasted. And I went like on a 3-day bender, and I cried, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? I can't stop. Then I did it again. I went 3 months, fell off the wagon, Went 3 months, fell off the wagon. I did it 4 times in a year. The final time that I fell off the wagon, it was in 2017. My ex, my son's mom, was pregnant. She was with another guy pregnant, and she said, hey, you need to come get our son when I'm going to go into labor. And I was like, okay. Well, I'd happened to have been drunk. She calls me at like 1 a.m. She's like, you need to come get him. So I run downstairs, jump in my 4Runner. It's in the garage. And as I jump in, I started it and I flipped it in gear, and then I dropped my phone, and I had passed out, but I was still drunk, right? So I realized, oh, I dropped my phone. So I get out of the car to grab my phone, and the car's in gear. So the door of the freaking car gets pinned against the garage and goes the other direction.
Like Tommy Boy.
Yeah. So I jump in and park it, and I'm like, that was my point where I'm like, I'm not freaking doing this anymore.
That was your moment.
That was it. Like, of all the stuff that I had gone through, the freaking, the concussions and the broken heads and all this stuff, that was the moment where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I came out of that. I went a couple months sober, and what I realized, I had an epiphany. I realized, and this is probably basic information for a lot of people, but I was like, oh, the alcohol is not my problem. The alcohol is my solution. This is
your way of coping with it.
It was my coping mechanism. And this is when I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a problem under the alcohol. I'm a slow learner, but I was like, there's a problem under the alcohol. So once I got sober, then I was like, okay, how do I start working? So I actually quit my job. I was working at Domo, a big tech company. I quit it. Didn't have a plan on how I was going to make money or anything, but I'm like, I have to figure this out. So I quit my job. I started digging deep. I read all these books, dude. Deepak Chopra. I met Tony Robbins. I met Deepak Chopra. I read a bunch of his books. I started doing transcendental meditation. I learned how to do transcendental meditation, which actually saved my freaking life, dude. It saved my life because I had read all these books, and it's like, do meditation. And I'm sitting there trying to do these guided meditations, and it won't, like, it won't work. And it's like the most torturous 20 minutes of the day. And then I'm listening to Howard Stern one day, and he talks about TM, transcendental meditation. And I was like, wait a minute, there's different kinds. So I go and research it, find there's a trainer here in Utah. I go to him I remember this very clearly, 2018, New Year's Day, I learned to do transcendental meditation, dude. And the first time that I sat down and did it, it like made me cry because I actually stopped my mind and I went into a state of infinite consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. And I was like, holy crap. And from that day forward, I didn't skip a beat. I did 2 times meditation for 3 years straight. I did not miss. And I'm telling you, dude, it like changed my brain. It completely changed my brain to this point today where I'm coming up on 8 years sober. This is not the end of the story, but that was the moment when I realized there is more to this than just like, I have to understand this, like what is causing this? Because to that point, I even believed that my childhood was fine and everything was good. I had like suppressed. And once I started to realize this, then I said, okay, I got to write my entire life down. So I just started bullet pointing my life, just everything, all the little things I told you. Oh, my mom told me to do this. Oh, I remember crawling up the stairs. I remember this. I remember that. And I would come across feelings that would hurt me. I would actually not want to think them. They would actually feel like someone was stabbing me in the heart, thinking this memory. And what I realized is I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, these all trace to what's causing me to want to cope all the time. Because I couldn't understand why I wanted to drink all the time when I realized that there's so much unaddressed stuff in my childhood that I didn't know how to process. So I was covering it up. So I literally wrote my whole life down. And then I realized I was like, I should write a book. So then I wrote a book. And then I basically went, let's call it 2 years. I was 2 years sober. And I said, I've never manifested a woman. I've always just taken the woman that is there. So I write this list down. I want a good looking woman that's never been married, no kids, successful and beautiful, and my age. And I'm 34 or 5 at this time. I go and give this to a real life matchmaker. And I say, Matt, find this person for me. The second person they set me up on with a date with was a woman who, she was 2 years older than me, never married, no kids. She got her master's degree at Oxford. She got her PhD at the University of Utah. She was a business professor at the University of Utah. She owned her own orchard, never married, no kids. She was Miss Teen Utah. Boom, 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 boom. I was the greatest manifester in the entire world. And she was into me. She loved my story, all this stuff. 3 months into dating, she's like, look, I got to be honest with you. I want to have kids. If you're not interested in that, like, we should not continue to date. I'm like, nope, 100% I do. I want to. So almost a year from the day we met, we got married. 6 weeks later, she was pregnant with a little girl. 8 weeks into the pregnancy, she couldn't feel the little girl moving. We went in. They're like, you gotta like go through you gotta give birth. The baby had passed away. 5 pounds, 6 ounces, little girl. We named her, dark hair. It was horrible, a terrible experience. But one thing that I didn't do, well, hold on. This was a devastating event. It was devastating for me. It was devastating for her. And I don't want to speak for everything about her, but we just couldn't make it work. It just ended our relationship, basically. We lost the baby. Our relationship was over. And then I got a call that I was being laid off, all in like a 3-month period. Like, my life literally exploded, and I was 2 years sober. I didn't go back to alcohol. I actually dug deeper into discovering, and I started to find value in everything that was happening. Like, you can't pay for those experiences. They're so valuable. They're so incredible because they rip you up so raw that you actually get access to your true self, and you can create something incredible out of that terrible experience. So I didn't go back to alcohol. I didn't go back to drinking. I actually dug deeper in, and I ended up getting a better job with a startup, and I ended up like working a lot and really becoming successful. And it wasn't until 6 years sober that I felt like everything was great, but I was like, there's just something missing, and I don't know what it is. And I had this deep like feeling to go do ayahuasca. I had read about it, heard about it. I had this deep feeling to go do it. Well, the third night in the ceremony, I had this massive breakthrough that it basically told me I'm enough and I can fulfill myself and I don't need anything else. I'm everything there is. I don't need anything to make me something. I already am. And when I had this great rush of this feeling come through, I like laid back and I was like, oh, I'm finally healed. And the medicine said, you never needed to be healed. You were always this. And I was like, holy shit.
You know, my first journey, that was my message. You're good enough.
It is the truth for everyone.
Yeah.
So after that, I had this like deep burning desire to say like the medicine basically told me, it was like, Thomas, all this stuff you've been through, all of these trials, all this incredible divorce and death and like all these things that you've been through, and you found the ability to like come out of it and overcome it and to have such a positive attitude. That is your purpose. Your purpose is to go and tell people that they can do the same thing, that they are also just as valuable as you are, and that you can tell them your story. And because your story is so wild, it grants credit to give them the ability to also do it themselves. And so it was like this rush of just like, I don't know, what do you feel when you finally understand what your true purpose is? Because for so long, I believed I wasn't good enough. I'm not enough. I'm right. Like the church has pounded this into my brain. And then in losing these people and these divorces and this and that, and the alcoholism, you believe it. You're like, I'm not enough. Mm. And then for me to like make that change and then come through, and then for me to see for myself that I am, was the greatest feeling anyone can feel.
Yeah, I think it builds, I mean, the word that comes to my mind is confidence, because to me, confidence is, knowing that you walk with God and like having that purpose figured out, that you're, found what you're supposed to do, what you're on this planet to do. I imagine there was a boost in just that confidence and self-love and all the things that we work so hard to gain.
Well, the best thing about it, Jimmy, was that it made everything that I had gone through valuable.
It gives purpose to your pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was no longer
I feel like that's part of like the quantum field is it goes back and retroactively heals all those moments because it gives the purpose. I've had that with We Are the They. I'll have so many of these moments. I'm able to connect with people because of my bullshit, because of the mistakes I've made, because of these problems I caused. And I'm like, oh, it's all worth it. And it just gives purpose to the pain, and it no longer becomes a negative thing in your life. You can just honor it.
Right. And it validated my entire life, like everything that I had struggled with, and all the things when we begun the talk, when I was ashamed of who I was, and I didn't want to tell people what I was and who I was, it changed that into I now preach my story, tell my story, sell my book to tell my story as much as I possibly can, not in shame, but in honor of the ability that I had to be able to go through that, but then find value in it. And then it help inspire others to see that they can do the same thing. They're like, that is my mission.
Well, that's the hero's journey, right? It's like, look, like the only time you lose the game is when you stop playing. Mm-hmm. Dude, you just kept getting back up. Was it the fourth marriage also got a divorce, I believe?
Fourth marriage,
obviously, because I know you're dating someone now. So
I'm getting married in July 17th.
You could just date people, right?
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing.
Somewhere between you and I, we'll get this squared away.
I told Sophie, I was like, I don't give up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'll give you this, man. You got a good one. I think you're making the right move.
Yeah, she's awesome.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, and hey, actually to that very point, and I think this is very important. I always struggled with women, always, because there's many that I didn't marry that that were right, like long relationships that I could. Yeah. In the ceremony, I saw that I met a short little Hispanic girl, and she was like the one. And when I came out of it, I was like, oh, I think I put one of the staff members in my mind and just kind of like thought that was it. And I literally thought to myself, I'm like, that's just not true. 4 months after I met her and 2 months into us dating, we had this super transformative moment. I won't go into crazy details, but sure. I saw her and I was like, holy shit, it's you. And like, dude, I'm telling you, the level of like connection that her and I have is like everything I've looked for and been begging for my entire life, not only from another partner, but from my mother. Like she is like this powerful feminine energy that is like been absent my whole life. And I know for a fact that she never would have come into my life if I did not find myself first. Oh yeah. She never would have come. Yeah.
Well, dude, all I hear when I hear your story is a success story. It's so beautiful because I think so many people, and they're in one of the stages in their life. I call it being in the tunnel. And the only problem with being in the tunnel, it sucks in the tunnel, right? And you don't know when it ends. That's the only problem with the tunnel. It's a long one. But, you get through it. And it's how many stories like yours do you got to hear before it gives you some confidence when you're in the tunnel that, hey, man, I'm going to figure this out. Like, I'm going to get through this. You got 8 years sober now, dude. Congratulations on that, by the way. It's so incredible, man. And it's really cool, man. It's a real gift that you have, and it's why you're able to help so many people now. And I'm honored that you're in our program, that you're able to help so many other people. You're a leader in the group. I do got to ask, what does cheat codes mean? Why did you call your book that? I kept waiting for you to throw that in there, but nothing came up.
Yeah, so I call it the cheat codes because it's obviously a play on words, right? Like I was a big video game guy growing up. And I love the cheat.
Hold on, right? I guess didn't even have TV.
Cheat codes. Well, dude. So here's the thing.
We would go
to the neighbor's house.
When you got done yelling at your dad for having TV, you went and played Nintendo.
No, we'd go to the neighbor's house and we would like see. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then my grandma, she did not follow the churches. Dude, I could go into
I'm
the
just
whole
messing.
thing there.
You keep going.
Anyway, cheat codes, and then for me, I found like my chi, my balance, my energy. I found it. And the book is literally it's a process of basically explaining like your past, your experiences are your chi or your cheat code. That's what it is. It's your coding. It is your path. that is your path. Your past is your path to finding yourself. And it's your code. So it's like the secret codes that you have in your life. They're there. They've been there all along. Like everybody's looking for meaning. What am I here for? Why am I here? What's my purpose? It actually is your life. That, like, if you go, so I encourage in the book, I'm like, go and get intimate with your life. Get deep into what happened in your life, because there is codes that are telling you what you are. They're there. So yeah.
I love it. You're a gift, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
Thanks, man.
If people want to buy the book, by the way, just Amazon?
Amazon. I have the cheatcodes.com, where I actually built an entire course that's free. You might not like this, but
Where do you get that? No,
I give everything away.
Okay.
And so this is my...
Why wouldn't I like that?
This is my motto. This is my motto right now, Jimmy, is I want to give as much as I possibly can away until the point where I don't have the capacity to give my time or whatever it is. And then at some point I want to turn it into a charity and literally just say, hey, if you cannot give a donation, then I can give you some of my time. Because just like with the transcendental meditation, I was always bothered that they charge $1,000 for it. Only not because it's so whatever, but it's because it's such a powerful tool that I think it should just be taught to everyone for free. Like everyone should just have this access.
Well, if only the people in charge wanted us to have the right things that would actually help us, right?
Exactly. So Thomas Dockstader, at Thomas Dockstader on TikTok and on Instagram. I want to share my message. I want to offer as much as I can to anyone who needs it, literally to my capacity. Beautiful. I want to help other people.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you again for listening to the Jimmy Rex Show. And if you liked what you heard, please like and subscribe. It really helps me to get better guests, to be able to get the type of people on this podcast that's going to make it the most interesting. Also, want to tell everybody about my podcast studio, The Rookery Studios, now available in Salt Lake City and Orem, Utah. If you live in Utah and want to produce your own podcast, we take all of the guesswork out of it for you. We make it so simple. All you do is you come in, you sit down, you talk, and leave. We record it, edit it, even post it for you. If interested in doing your own podcast, visit our Instagram and send us a DM, Rookery Studios, or go to our website, therookerystudios.com.